So this is Notes 13.5 because we're not officially going to a new topic just yet. So that's why I put Implicit Diff Part 2. So we just need more experience with it. So yesterday all we did was we took derivatives with respect to x. And I wanted to show you that you don't have to take derivatives with respect to x. It could be with respect to anything. Cool? So, and I haven't put any delta yet. I will put delta because I do think having a whole bunch of questions in the be thrown at you through the masses I think is good. Plus you get to see feedback and all that. So here we go. Example 1. I'm taking a derivative, but look what I'm taking a derivative with respect to what letter? Y. So because I'm taking a derivative with respect to y, what's the derivative of 2y cubed with respect to y? No, it's not a dy dx. Why is it not a dy dx? It would be dy dy, which is just 1. And then, what's the derivative of 5 cosine y?
5 negative sine 5 sine 5 sine.
Done. There it is. There's no dy dx's because I'm taking the derivative with respect to y, not x.
So you don't have to do a table on 5 cosine y?
Well, you do, but 5 sine y, then the derivative of the inside is dy dy. Because it's a y. Yeah. Are we okay, guys? Cool or not cool? All right, look at letter B. I'm taking the derivative with respect to what letter? U. So what's the derivative of 5u squared? 10u. And what's the derivative of 3 cosine u? Yeah. Plus 3 sine u. How do we feel? All right, let's start going into more advanced problems. Here we go. So I want to find dy dx. It does not start with y equals whatever. So we're going to just take the derivative implicitly. We start with the outside. I see tan of xy. What's the derivative of tan? So I write secant squared, and I leave the xy alone. And then times the derivative of the inside. What rule do I got to use? Product. First, times the derivative of the second, dy dx. I know some of you like the other way around. I like to always do it the old school way, this way. Plus second, times the derivative of the first, which is, what's the derivative of x? 1. Close. Equals, what's the derivative of x? 1. Plus, what's the derivative of y? Dy dx. You are done. The rest is now algebra. Now, if you are confident with your skills, like super confident and you're careful, you can divide here by secant squared and move it to the right. But I think that might make more headaches in the future. So I like to just distribute before I do anything else. Does that make sense? Yeah, because I know some of you just like to divide and then move the y and then move the... Yeah, I think that's going to create more headaches, guys. So here we go. I'm going to write x secant squared xy dy dx. No preference. I could have written the dy dx on the left, but in my opinion, I think the dy dx's look the best at the end of each one. But if you wanted to write it immediately after the x, you can. Are we still okay? Plus y secant squared xy. I don't think I've done any mistakes. Do you guys see any mistakes? Equals 1 plus dy dx. Okay, now I'm going to move the dy dx's to the left. Yeah, everything to the left. Everything that does not have a dy dx, move it to the right. So I'm going to have x secant squared xy, that's a squared there, dy dx minus dy dx equals 1 minus y secant squared xy. Are we still okay, guys? All right, now I'm going to factor out what? Dy dx. So here's me factoring out a dy dx. X secant squared xy minus 1. Don't forget that. So a lot of times you guys mess up with that one right there. Equals 1 minus y secant squared xy. And now all I got to do to get the dy dx by itself is divide. Dy dx equals 1 minus y secant squared xy divided by x secant squared xy minus 1. notice there was only, from all that math, only the first line was calculus. Everything else was just what? Algebra. Yes, very good. All right. We're okay, guys? All right, here we go. In example 3, it says for the relation x plus y, the square root of x plus y equals 3x, find the value of x for which dy dx equals 17 when y equals 8. So they're telling me to do algebra. You're only going to have to do one line of calculus, and the rest is going to be algebra, guys. So what do they want? They want x. X question mark. Okay, so let's rewrite it. I haven't taken the derivative yet. I'm just rewriting it. I might need a lot of space. Do I got the whole page? Okay, good. Okay, x plus y to the half equals 3x. I haven't done anything. I just did algebra and reworded in terms of my laws of exponents, right? Square root of the same thing as to the half. All right, here we go. I'm taking a derivative. I have no choice but to do it implicitly. So what do? Yeah, definitely chain rule. I'm going to have what? 1/2, leave the inside alone. To what power? Negative 1/2. Am I done with that side? No, times the derivative of that inside. What's the derivative of x plus y? Close it. Equals 3. I prefer to plug in stuff right here. This is just my preference. If you're a physics major, they're probably going to tell you to solve for dy dx and then, or solve for x and then plug in. It all depends to everyone's preference, I guess. I prefer to just plug in stuff right here. What was my dy dx? What was my y? I'm just going to plug in and then solve for x. So let me see. Let me write it better. 1 plus dy dx over 2 square root of x plus y equals 3. I'm going to plug in what I have. So from that, I'm going to go 1 plus, what was dy dx again? 17 over 2 square root, and x is what I'm looking for, plus 8 equals 3. There it is. All this is in the top. Power 1. Are we okay so far, guys? All right, now it's just algebra. Let's just have some fun with algebra. Let's see, 18, and I'll go slow. 18 to square root of x plus 8 equals 3. I want to get rid of that denominator, so I'm going to multiply by 2 square root of x plus 8 and 2 square root of x plus 8. So when I do that, I'm going to have, let's see, 18 equals 6 square root of x plus 8. Are you guys still okay? Okay, now I'm going to divide by 6. How many times does 6 go into 18? 3. I guess I didn't have to do that, but that's fine. 3 equals square root of x plus 8. Sorry if I'm going all over the place. How do I get rid of that square root? Square. Whatever you do to one side, do to the other. So 9 equals x plus 8. And then the last move, what is the last move? Yeah. 1 equals x. Well, I prefer x equals 1, but that's fine. And we got it.
So you could not, up when they first gave you the dy dx value and the y value, you can't just plug in the y value to your original equation the first time. So you said from the get-go, like square root of x plus 3x, and then
no, you couldn't have plugged in 1 into the original because they give you they want to know when dy dx is 17 unless it's just that one number. Let's see, would it have worked? 8 plus, nope, it would not have worked. Yeah, it wouldn't have worked. How do we feel, guys? Do we feel okay? All right, let's go to the next question. This just wants dy dx in terms of x and y. So that don't let it trick you guys. It just says take the derivative implicitly. You're gonna have x's and you're gonna have y's. That's all. So here we go. Huh? Oh yeah, but this only has x's and y's. So here we go. Ready for the derivative? Implicitly chain rule. Bring the 6 to the front. X plus y to what power? 5 times the derivative of the inside. What's the derivative of the inside? Perfect. Close equals, what's the derivative of 2x? 2. All right, on this one I am going to go ahead and just divide. We're just going to be very careful. You guys ready? I'm going to divide by 6x plus y to the 5th power, because it is all a product. Whatever you do to one, you do to the other. So now I have this. 1 plus dy dx equals 2, 6 parentheses x plus y to the 5th power. Usually they want you to do common denominator. I'm not going to do it because I don't see multiple choice questions here. And all I got to do to move that 1 is just do what? Subtract. Now make sure, do not put the minus 1 next to the 2, guys. That's the most obvious mistake. This is by itself. 2 parentheses 6x plus y to the 5th. And then make sure you move far away from it, minus 1. Sometimes you have to do common denominator with that 1. Sometimes you don't. I don't have answer choices. I'm going to leave it alone.
Okay.
Cool?
So if you had to do answer choice, if you had to find the common denominator, you would just make your common denominator 6x plus y. Okay.
Yeah, if there was like an A, B, C, D, and this answer was not in there, like, oh crap, now you got to do a whole bunch of algebra. Which I would not, unless you know Pascal's triangle, I would not want to expand x plus y to the 5th power. Do you guys know Pascal's triangle? Yeah, and then you can just really easily, yeah. So, do you know how it helps you for the expansion of these or not?
It tells you like the power, so when you're it's like a long.
And it also helps with the coefficient in the top. So, if you know Pascal's triangle, you can do that pretty quick. Well, maybe one of these days it doesn't take that long, but maybe 5 minutes. So maybe we'll do it in class one of these days. All right, question 5. Then find dy dx at the point 2, 1. Okay, they want a slope. I prefer to just take my derivative. As soon as I take a derivative, I'm just going to plug stuff in and solve for dy dx. If you want to get dy dx by itself, that's fine too. Whatever floats your boat. Here we go. Ready, guys? What's the derivative of y with respect to x? So dy dx, that's how you're going to start, minus, what's 4 times 3? 12y squared. Am I done with that? Dy dx plus, what's the derivative of x squared? 2x equals, what's the derivative of negative y squared? Perfect. Plus 1. You are done with calculus. The rest is algebra. Well, this one looks easy enough. Let's solve for dy dx. So move all the dy dx's to the left. Everything that is not a dy dx, move it to the right. Dy dx minus 12y squared dy dx plus 2y dy dx equals 1 minus 2x. Then you're going to factor out so dy dx, open parenthesis, don't forget the 1 in the front. 1 minus 12y squared plus 2y, close, equals 1 minus 2x. And then I'm going to what? Divide. So dy dx equals 1 minus 2x over 1 minus 12y squared plus 2y. And then from there, I'm going to insert my point. Dy dx evaluated at 2, 1 equals 1 minus 2 times 2 over 1 minus 12 times 1 squared plus 2 times 1. I don't see any immediate errors, guys. 1 minus 4 over 1 minus 12 plus 2. Let's see, 1 minus 12, negative 11, plus 2, negative 9. Negative 3 over negative 9. So I see a 1/3.